This is the weekly sales meeting for April 20th, 2025. My name is Chris Fleming. You can reach me at chris@cdmediaconsulting.com or go to our website at cdmediaconsulting.com. Today's topic, two kinds of problems. It is my belief that there are two kinds of problems. Some belong to me alone. Let's call these me problems. Others belong to someone else, and we'll call those you problems. And we never want the two to intersect. This is what causes trouble. When me problems and you problems intersect, it means two of us are working on the same problem. Problems are an unavoidable part of life. They show up in our relationships, our workplaces, and even our internal struggles. But not all problems are the same. The real trouble begins when lines blur. That is, when me problems and you problems overlap. That overlap creates confusion, frustration, and wasted effort. And when two of us are working on the same problem, one of us is always unnecessary. A me problem directly affects and belongs to the individual, in this case, me. It might be my work performance, attitude, finances, or health. These are the issues I have control over. The power to both fix them or make matters worse is my sole responsibility. A you problem, on the other hand, is someone else's issue. It's their responsibility to solve. I can offer advice, support, or even encouragement, but ultimately they must fix it themselves. Trying to solve a you problem for someone else often leads to friction. While we are trying to help, we end up doing work we shouldn't be doing, or worse, interfering in something that isn't ours to handle. Dr. Henry Cloud is a psychologist, leadership expert, and best-selling author. He is known for his work in personal and professional development. He co-authored Boundaries. This is a book on setting healthy limits in relationships. His background was in clinical psychology. He advised Fortune 500 companies, business leaders, and individuals, covering topics like leadership, emotional intelligence, and personal growth. His insights blend psychology with practical strategies for success. He wrote, "We are responsible to each other, but not for each other. The moment we take responsibility for someone else's problem, we create one of two dynamics. Either they resent our involvement or lean on us too much. Both are poor outcomes." Nowhere is this idea more evident than in the workplace. Imagine a sales manager who notices that one of his reps is struggling to close deals. Instead of coaching the seller and letting them handle the problem, the manager steps in and takes over the call. On the surface, it looks like a quick fix, but in reality, it creates a bigger issue. The seller never improves. The manager ends up doing two jobs. This is a classic case of a me problem colliding with a you problem. The sales rep needs to improve their closing skills. This is their issue to solve. The manager's role is to lead and coach. It is not their role to do the job of the seller for the seller. Legendary business leader Peter Drucker once said, "Do what you do best and outsource the rest." That means knowing what problems belong to us and which ones don't. When we take on problems that don't belong to us, we limit the growth for both ourselves and others. This can lead to burnout. We have heaped the unnecessary on ourselves. I once had an employee who was famous for trying to dump her problems on my desk. After a couple of rounds of this, I started to keep a drawer in my desk dedicated to her problems. I would trade with her. When she would bring me a new problem, I would give her an old one back. It took about 3 rounds of this for the practice to stop. I'm sure you have heard of Lou Holtz. He's an American football coach, sports analyst, and motivational speaker. His best claim to fame was as the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. There he won the national championship in 1988. He also holds a rather dubious honor, that is, of being the only head coach to place 5 NCAA football programs on probation. Despite this shortcoming, Holtz became a sought-after speaker. He would share insights on leadership, teamwork, and perseverance. His motivational wisdom and witty quotes came to inspire leaders. He said the man who complains about the way the ball bounces is likely to be the one who dropped it. It was at the intersection of me problems and you problems. In sales, understanding the distinction between me problems and you problems is key. A common challenge arises when a seller struggles with rejection and loses confidence. That is a me problem for the seller. Their attitude, work ethic, and ability to handle objections are 100% in their control. Yet, if the seller expects the manager to step in and fix their mindset, they are shifting their me problem to someone else. A good sales manager will guide and mentor, but they will not carry the burden of their seller's emotional resilience. On the other side of this coin, when a sales rep is not given the right tools or training, that is a you problem for the sales manager. That is your job to equip the team with what they need to succeed. But if the seller has everything they need and fails to perform, that problem remains theirs, and it remains theirs alone. John Ruskin was a 19th century British art critic, writer, social thinker, and philanthropist. He championed the Romantic movement, advocating for the beauty of nature and craftsmanship. He opposed the negative effects of industrialization. His works helped shape the Gothic revival movement in European architecture. Ruskin promoted education, social justice, and workers' rights. He emphasized moral responsibility in economics and society. Today, he might be labeled a liberal. His writings remain significant in art theory, architecture, and economics. He has been attributed to this famous quip. He said, "No individual raindrop ever considers itself responsible for the flood. Personal actions, though insignificant alone, can lead to real consequences." Sales professionals also need to recognize the difference in prospecting. If a prospect doesn't see the value in a product, that is often a you problem for the potential customer. A rep's job is to present clear value, but they cannot decide for the buyer. Too many sales reps make the mistake of carrying the burden of the customer's indecision. They chase, they discount, they overpromise, all to fix the customer's hesitation. The truth is, once the rep has done their job of presenting value, the next step is not theirs to take. Customers must decide for themselves. We have to make the most compelling case with the information provided by the prospect. If we are not solving a problem for them or providing a real value, we get compared with everything and everyone else. And then it is a me problem, as I will suffer from lack of sales. Louis Nizer was a prominent American trial lawyer. He was also a published author. He represented high-profile clients such as Johnny Carson, Charlie Chaplin, and Mae West. Born in London, he moved to the U.S. as a child. He later co-founded the law firm of Phillips, Nizer, Benjamin, Krim, and Ballin in New York City. Nizer gained national attention for his successful defense of broadcaster John Henry Falk. He had been blacklisted. His best-selling memoir, My Life in Court, offers insights into other notable cases. In it, he writes, "When a man points a finger at someone else, he should remember that 4 of his fingers are pointing at himself. It is a quick and humorous reminder to deal with our issues before we heap them on someone else." Sales managers who don't understand this concept often find themselves overwhelmed, and they are overwhelmed because they take on problems that aren't theirs to solve. They may feel responsible for every lost deal. They may internalize every struggling rep. They may take home every customer complaint, but a strong sales leader knows their true role is to provide support. They are there to offer training. They are to provide a framework for success. It is not to do the job for their team. This also applies to accountability. If a sales manager constantly reminds a rep to follow up, this is an issue. If the manager has to remind the seller to push deals forward, this is a bigger issue. The manager is carrying that seller's me problems. The seller's consistency and discipline are their own to develop. If a manager spends more time tracking a salesperson's to-do list than the rep does, something else is wrong. Great sales managers set expectations and hold people accountable. They do not become babysitters for their team's daily tasks. Joy Deja King is a best-selling author. Her urban fiction novels delve into street life and the entertainment industry. She was raised in various states but pursued journalism at North Carolina Central University. Later, she enrolled at Pace University. Her career began in the music industry, working in the Terry Williams Agency. Later, she became director of hip-hop artist relations at Click Radio. Transitioning to writing, she authored the popular Bitch series. She founded Young Diamond Books. She wrote, "If you take responsibility and blame yourself, you have the power to change things. But if you put responsibility on someone else, then you are giving them the power to decide your fate." A different example of conflict arises when a salesperson feels pressure from both their employer and their family. Imagine a top-performing rep who's expected to work late and close deals. Meanwhile, at home, their spouse expects them to be available for family responsibilities. The seller faces a dilemma. If they prioritize work, they risk straining their relationships. If they focus on family, their sales performance might suffer. This internal struggle is a me problem, but when their manager steps in and tries to dictate how they should balance their personal and professional life, it becomes a you problem. The salesperson must take ownership of their time management. They need to communicate expectations with clarity in both spaces. Lao Tzu was an ancient Chinese philosopher and writer. He is credited as the founder of Taoism. He wrote Tao Te Ching, a foundational text on wisdom, balance, and the natural flow of life. Tao. He is believed to have lived in the 6th century BC. His teachings emphasize simplicity, humility, and harmony with nature. His philosophy influenced Chinese culture, martial arts, and spirituality. It is the foundation of both Confucianism and Buddhism. Lao Tzu's ideas on leadership, patience, and effortless action remain relevant today. In his writing, he gave us this gem: give a man a fish, and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you'll feed him for a lifetime. Life is filled with problems, but not all problems are ours to solve. Do your best to work on what belongs to you. That is, long before you take that problem and drop it at someone else's doorstep. Also, don't rob others of the opportunity to solve their own problems. The moment you start working on someone else's problem, you are either enabling them or taking on unnecessary stress. The key to keeping things simple: own your problems and let others own theirs. When me problems and you problems stay separate, everyone wins. The converse is also true. We all lose when we are overlapping issues. Keep me problems to me and you problems to you. Then we will all have a Merry Christmas. At the end of the day, if two of us are working on the same problem, one is unnecessary. As I tell my sellers, when two of us are doing the same job, one of us is unnecessary. And I'll give you a hint: it is never me. My new book, 21st Century Sales Success, is now available on Amazon.com. If you like what you have heard here today, please consider ordering a copy or two. You can always send one to a friend. Go to cdmediaconsulting.com right now and follow the instructions to order.